You're listening to the Open Books Podcast.
Your next chapter starts now.
Is it love, 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 love that I'm feeling? Is it love, 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 love that I'm feeling? Is she the one?
Hey, y'all, and welcome back to the Open Books Podcast. Usually, we are all about the books, but today we're all about the heart of education and the unwavering love for teaching. Thank you for joining us as we explore stories, insights, and experiences from our fellow educators. Oh, by the way, I'm Amber.
By the way, I'm Colby. That was so cute, Amber.
Oh, thanks.
That was just gorgeous. So
Stop.
that will lead us into what we're talking about in this episode, which is about just the heart of education, exactly like you said. So every episode is special, of course, but this
Right.
one is a little extra special because we reached out to our fellow teachers, educators, and we wanted to get some positive submissions from them.
Which I love.
Me too. To hear the good in teaching.
Yes.
It needs to be spread because it's clearly one of the hardest jobs in the whole world.
Yes.
Dare I say one of the most challenging jobs there is. But this career is by far one of the most rewarding.
Absolutely.
And it's very near and dear to both of our hearts.
It is.
So we're both educators, middle school. We've
Yep.
always been in the middle school area.
That's our place.
that's
Middle
our-
school.
And so many people, when they hear that, they're like, how do you do it? And I get it.
I do.
Middle school is such a niche career.
It is, but I can't picture myself anywhere else, though.
Me either.
At
Not
all.
younger, not higher.
They're perfect.
Hmm
I just
I love
love everything about middle school.
Yes, and what I'm learning this year is that sixth graders are my favorite. That's my favorite grade to teach.
They're so precious.
I'm obsessed. They're
They're
so
so
cute.
sweet.
I'm sure every teacher feels that way about their grade.
Their group. Yep.
And I think a lot of teachers have probably bounced around to try to find
Mhm.
what grade best fits them. And they all probably feel like this is the grade. When they find the grade, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
this is where
Well,
I'm meant
that's
to
how
be.
I was for seventh grade. Like
Mhm.
seventh grade was my grade.
Yes, I remember you telling me that. And
I loved it.
And I've bounced around. I've done 6th, 7th, 8th, and even ninth grade.
Yes.
And
you
I've lo-
have.
And I've loved them all, but definitely sixth grade is like my niche.
Yeah.
So, of course, all professions are so, so important. Teaching
Yes.
is definitely one of the most important. I mean, you literally you mold the minds of
You
the
do.
future of the world.
Yes.
There-
Like we are helping to prep our
Yeah.
babies for their futures and the future in society.
Yeah.
So
It's a big deal. We got the whole world in our
come
hands.
on, teachers.
Literally the whole world in our hands. Snaps for the teachers.
Snaps for the teachers.
So what
If you can hear my voice,
if you can hear my voice, clap once.
if you know, you know.
Yeah. I need all eyes and ears on me in 3, 2,
two,
1.
one.
My
I love
favorite
it.
is doing that, and then all the kids put their hands up and they do the 3, 2, 1 with me, and it's so cute. I just love it.
It is.
I love them.
It is.
And like we said, it's one of the hardest jobs. There's so much that goes into the ins and outs of being a
Yes.
teacher every single day. The emotional and physical,
Mental.
mental turmoil that it takes
Yeah.
on a person. A lot of times you can get caught in the rut and just feel like, oh, this is so much. But there's always at least one time in every single day, there's that moment that happens for you as a teacher
Yep.
that you go, oh, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing it. So we wanted to reach out to the teachers and get their positive stories and spread them on the podcast.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to make this
Hmm
share the teaching, the joys in teaching.
Yes,
So-
because they're so real.
They're real and it happens so frequently,
Hmm
but they're just not highlighted enough.
They're not. And all the negatives of teaching are very highlighted. And while
Yep.
they do exist, let's not forget about all the great
All
things.
the great things.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love the way you just said that.
Oh my God, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we each have a few that we got from fellow listeners and educators, and then we'll share our own at the end, and that'll be it. It'll be a
Yeah.
short little mini episode where we just spread the positivity in teaching.
Yes, I love it.
Me too. Okay, you want to go first with what you have?
Yeah, so teacher joys. Here we go. A student that I had a few years ago in my first inclusion class completely changed my life. He was super smart but had crippling anxiety. He'd fall on the floor and cry. I had never worked with any SPED students before, and this seemed like an impossible situation. I worked all year with him to try to get a hold on his anxiety and make my room a safe space for him. I learned that a year through sitting with him, through his outbursts every day, and lots of reading to try to just be better for him. Book recommendation, What Happened to You? So this teacher's saying, check
Okay.
that book out.
Okay.
That our jobs really go so far beyond just curriculum. We made so much progress together. He gave presentations, worked in groups, and made a friend which he never thought he'd be able to do. He taught me so much more than I could ever have taught him. I can't imagine another job where you get those kind of rewards. It makes
Not me
so-
tearing up.
I know. Seeing a student who never felt like they belonged at school smiling in your classroom.
That's so sweet.
Y'all, it really, like,
It's so true.
that's what it is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
these, like, your students, and if you're not an educator,
Mm-hmm.
every kid that steps into your classroom becomes like your own.
Your child. Yeah.
So that was a really great.
That was such a
joy.
good experience to
I
share.
love that.
And it was such a good like example of just how the kids really do become your own.
Yes.
By the end of the year, your class has formed into such a family.
Yes.
It's like leaving them and saying goodbye is like saying goodbye to your literal children. And it's like you look at all the work that y'all have done this past
Mhm.
year, and then you get those really special relationships like
Yep.
the one you just said that you're
Yep.
like, wow, okay, it makes every single hard moment worth it.
it makes it so worth it.
Okay, here's my next one. It says, all right, so there's this one student who a lot of teachers had negative perception of, but I kind of just ignored that and was eventually able to really get through to him. His mom texted me on the last day of school and thanked me for always looking after her son and that I truly was a blessing to their family. She even asked me to try getting a job at the high school that he was going to. It was a sweet reminder of my why, and when I'm having a hard day, I'll always go back and reread the text she sent me.
That's super sweet.
Super sweet.
I
It's
love
it's
that.
really amazing when like the parents of the kids reach out.
Yep.
Especially when you have older kids like we do, like, you know, in the middle school level, so their parents aren't as heavily like involved with the teachers.
Yeah,
So when they reach out, like, it means something.
definitely. And it is such a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so powerful when
Yeah.
parents and families are on the same page with the teachers.
Oh God, so important. When that happens,
it's
it's like
huge.
magic.
It is.
Yeah.
Synergy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This teacher wrote in, this is not a story, but some days the only way I get through the day is through the support of my grade level team. They are there for the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That is such a good point to make.
It is.
It's so important to have like a team that you can relate to and feel comfortable with talking to, because
Absolutely.
there really is struggles, and just like there's good in every day, there's struggles in almost every day in being a teacher.
Yep.
So to have like a grade level team that you can like talk to, get advice from,
Right.
people that you can look up to, very important.
It is super important.
Okay, this one was a comment that we got with a cute little bracelet that a student gave their teacher. And she
Sweet.
said, when I was picking up my kids' weekly Turn It In papers on Friday, one of my girls said, Mrs. Powell, I made this bracelet for you. My kids have taken note of my love of color and accessories. Something so small and sweet, but it's beyond just a gift. The same student came to class on our first day, teary-eyed and anxious about moving to 4th grade. She's now flourishing, and I'm glad she feels right at home in my room. And she seemingly likes having me as her teacher.
Oh, I love that.
So cute.
okay, I will also add in middle school,
Mm-hmm.
they also will make you bracelets.
Yes.
And that is like the best.
Anything that they make for you or give you is just like you just cherish. Like they'll come
Yes.
give you the like craziest looking drawing, and I'm like, this is the best piece of art I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to add something to that after.
Yes. Okay. So
So that, like, it's just,
I need to
thank you, 8th grader, for drawing me a picture.
Exactly.
It still means as much as it would if you were in 1st grade.
exactly. I really need to keep a folder so I could keep all the things that people give me. That the kids
Okay.
give me.
So that's like
Oh,
part
were
of.
you gonna say that?
Yes, but we're already talking about it, so it's
Mhm.
kind of like a perfect segue. Is I have a binder.
Do you
I
really?
keep every picture, every letter, every note in that binder.
That is such a genius idea. I need to do
And-
that.
And when I put when they give it to me, I always put the date on it too.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm feeling like, okay, this has been a really hard day, or I'm drained, or I'm feeling a little burnout, I look in the binder and just it brings you
Genius.
back.
I need to do that
You
because I've gotten
should.
so much over the years that I probably just end up maybe thrown away through time. So I need to do that.
Put it in a binder because you'll find stuff from your notes and stuff from your kids from like 6 years ago, and you're like,
Mhm.
oh my
And
goodness.
you remember every single kid.
Yes,
Mhm.
it brings you right back to that moment.
That's so sweet. Okay, this teacher said one of my favorite things is seeing my students grow throughout the years. When they leave my class, I still see them in the halls. They give me hugs, tell me they miss me or that they want to be back in my class. That's my reason. Once they're mine to love forever.
So true.
So true. Nothing is better than being in the hallway and your old students are like, Miss Lanto.
Oh,
You're
you feel like a
literally,
celebrity.
oh, you're famous. You are
Yes.
famous. Like going to Walmart or something and a kid sees you, they're like showstopper. They're like,
Oh,
there
yeah.
she is.
She grocery shops.
What?
She doesn't sleep at the school.
You're literally famous.
Yes.
That's like one of my other favorite things about being a teacher is how fun it is. Like
It is so fun.
it brings me back to this one memory that I have with you actually from 2 years ago when we did the pep rally, like dance. And I was like heavily pregnant,
Yes.
but it was like the state testing pep rally to like to get the
Yes.
kids excited. And you came up with this dance that all the teachers did, and the kids loved it. Like to see us being like silly
Yes, they do
and
love that.
put on a show, and they were all like screaming my name. I was like, "Am I a star?"
Did I just? Miss
You don't-
Lansu ate.
She ate no because one of the kids put that on their Snapchat, and I was like, "Me?
Did I just pop off?
Oh my god, so
No
much
cr-
fun."
No crumbs were left.
No crumbs. They were literally like Miss Lance and Miss Borchos ate. I was like, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. We grittied.
Had way too much fun doing that. Oh my god.
But it's all of those little things that really do make it so worth it.
yes.
I think one of like my biggest things
Mhm.
with being a teacher or being in education is that yes, it's a job and it, like you said earlier, is one of the most important jobs that there is. But
Literally.
it doesn't feel like work.
Exactly.
Like every day is different, even though you work so hard to have like routines and procedures in place.
right.
You just never know like
What's
what the
gonna
kids are
happen,
gonna
right?
say, like
Yeah.
in a good way. Like it's just fun.
It is. And like I said, all the different families that you build with each class, they're all so
Absolutely.
different. Like we
Yeah.
all have different inside jokes with the kids.
Yep.
One of my one I actually have a running inside joke with
Yeah.
one of my classes right now because I give them journal prompts in the
Mhm.
morning. So I did it just like a fun one, which was if you could picture your life 30 years from now, where would you be? And I was like, just get creative. It doesn't even have to be real. Like
Right.
just write. And they just said something so funny about homeless man Harry or something. And so now they all draw like what they think homeless man Harry looks like, and they give them to me when they walk through the door, and they're like, "Here's homeless man Harry. He's gonna work
See?
with us today."
And they're probably gonna remember that.
Yes,
Like they'll probably be in their 20s and be like, "Do you remember Miss Lancy's class
Mhm.
in Homeless Man Harry?"
yeah,
Like
so
how
funny.
cool is that though?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, what's your next one?
Okay, so this teacher wrote in, during my first year of teaching, just 2 months into the school year, I had a student who had a sick grandma. Sadly, the grandmother passed away, and the parents decided to give the child the news via text in the middle of my class. I didn't know what was going on at the time, but I saw them trying to hide their tears, due to being in a class full of like, class clowns. They didn't want to get made fun of. So I was trying to be subtle, and I simply asked them to go fill up my water bottle for me. When we walked out of the room, I told them it was just a good excuse to get them out of the class, and I asked them what was wrong. We immediately embraced once they told me, and I had them calm down just outside before letting them go back in to the class to arrange my bookshelf.
Mhm.
They didn't come to school for days after, but when they did come back, I asked them privately how they were doing or if they need anything. We became very close from there. I was their last period of the day, and they'd always stay back just to talk or help me set up for the next day. They'd keep me informed on new things happening with them and ask for my advice. By Christmas, I was gifted a heartfelt letter that informed me how I was the only person who asked them how they were doing once they came back following the news of the death in the family. They poured out to me how I was one of the only stable adults in their life and the reason they wanted to keep coming to school.
Wow.
Yeah. This was the first time I realized just how a simple action like asking students, "How are you?" truly impacts the kids. I'm happy to report we are still close, even with the new school year bringing them up on a grade level. I see them daily during dismissal, and we always chat about what's going on. They're in a much better stage of the grieving process and have admitted to finding a love for both school and extracurricular activities.
Oh my God, that's so
How
amazing.
beautiful is that?
It's such a good testimony too to like the power of teachers because you're so much more than just a
Than
teacher.
just a teacher.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it goes to what we were saying earlier with like how demanding it really is because you're so much more than just their teacher.
Yeah.
To that child, like you could literally be everything.
I was going to say that teacher was that child's everything.
Yeah.
The only stable adult, and I think sometimes we lose sight of that.
Mm-hmm. And it's so true. And you have genuinely no idea what most of the kids go through at home, what they deal with.
Absolutely.
And so, like, when they come to your class, like, that could be the one thing that makes them happy every day.
Yep.
Crazy.
It is.
This one says, I was watching the movie Moneyball recently, and it had a quote that really hit hard about players playing their last baseball game. I decided to do a little Googling, and it looks like it's a little derivative from a pretty famous quote. At some point in your childhood, you and your friends went outside to play together for the last time, and nobody knew it. I immediately thought of a letter a student wrote for me a few years ago when she graduated high school. The letters that come at the end of the year or later down the road are always my favorite, by the way. This student in particular was part of my very first class as a middle school educator in math. In the letter, she mentioned that every time she stops by my classroom for a visit, it feels like nothing has changed. This hits home for me particularly hard. I realize now that we as educators have moments where we never see our students again or go long stretches without doing so. We spend an entire year, sometimes more, building relationships, gaining trust, laughing, causing, and creating headaches, and then it's just gone. So having students come back to me 4 years later and say that the feeling when they're in my room is that as if nothing has changed feels amazing. We may never regularly have those daily interactions with those students once they leave, but it feels good knowing that when she's visited, she brought back to a feeling that felt like home. So sweet. Wow. So impactful.
That like really
We're-
does make me want to cry.
No, I know we're like actually tearing up over here.
Because I think that's
hmm
that's like our goal, right? Like we
Exactly.
want them to feel that safe
hmm
in our classrooms.
Yeah, that's what needs to come first, and I think for most teachers, that's the most important.
Yeah.
So to have that validation as a teacher, like a
Right.
kid feels like they're at home in your room.
Yeah.
Also, as a parent too, like that's what I pray that my child
Right.
has. Every single teacher he has will make him feel like he's safe and at home.
Mhm.
So like I know that most parents feel the same way. That must feel so
Yes.
thankful, like that. Okay, my child has teachers that make them feel safe. That's like my
And that they love
literal
to go to school and they want to learn.
right, because your children are your precious angels. Like you would
Right.
do anything for them, and when you have to let them go and be in the hands of other people, it's scary.
It is scary, I would
So
imagine.
teachers are doing everything they can to make other people's children feel at home is monumental. It's a big
It
deal.
is. Okay, let's see. I have so many stories I could tell, hundreds of them. Stories of making connections with kids and their families. Stories of breakthroughs, survival, happiness, wins, celebrations, silliness, laughter. So many. It's so many that I'm on the second generation already and making these connections with the children of some of my first students.
Wow.
That's
my
so
God.
like
That's crazy.
that's crazy.
Mhm.
But like gives you chills.
hmm
But for me, all of the stories wind around and over to one place at their end. That place is a feeling of shared joy. I know that's a long way to say it, but in the end, learning, growing, even the hard parts, result in a collective love between student and educator. That to me is the heart of teaching, connecting in joy through it all.
It's perfectly said.
It is.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
There's no,
Literally.
I could not have said it better.
That's a perfect way to sum up like what it is to be a teacher.
Yes.
That's so good. Okay, I have a couple more. This one says, one thing that I learned quickly into my career, especially working with special needs students and their parents, is how important of a role you play in a child's life for the year or sometimes even 2 to 3 years that you may teach them. You're spending more time with them than their own parents. That to me is a gift. Sometimes you are the person that's keeping them or even their families from falling apart. It's quite the load to bear, but it gives you a purpose in doing this sometimes daunting job. I often have to fill out daily behavior charts for my students, and no matter how difficult that child was that day, I always make it a point to find the positive, to shine the light on something that the child did well, even if it was something as simple as they pushed in their chair every time they stood up. I recently had a former parent thank me for that. She told me that no matter how hard her kid was that day, I always listened to the one thing he did well, and she was so appreciative of that. It's great.
That is.
And such a good point about like finding the positive, because for some kids, like literally picking up their pencil and
Yep.
writing a sentence is
Yep.
such a win.
Yep. Putting
And-
their name on a paper.
And it could take you 3 months to get the kid to do that, and it could feel so daunting, and then they
Yep.
do it and you're like, okay.
And
That's why
that's
I'm
why
here.
it's so important to celebrate small wins.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so you
Like-
don't get bogged down, because
Exactly.
the small wins really are there. You just have to
Yep.
look for them. You have to appreciate
Absolutely.
them.
So that's all I have except for like some of my stuff.
Okay.
So if you want to keep sharing the
Okay.
ones that you have,
I think I have one more, and then we can share ours.
perfect.
Okay, so this one says, I've been teaching for 4 years now, and I've never felt like I took the time to build the social culture in my classroom. I just welcome all 6 periods with a good morning or a good afternoon. but this year I've now adapted to taking the time and individually greeting each student with a
Huge.
fist bump, a high five, or even a special handshake. It lights up each student's face as well as mine. I can gauge how their day is and if they need a pick me up. I usually say something goofy for them to crack a smile. I enjoy it each class period. I also start implementing more call responses, and my students are super receptive to it, even if they are too cool for middle schoolers. It keeps them on their toes and super engaged. Their favorite one is when they respond with "All hail the queen." That's cute. I think that
That's
was like
funny.
a little teacher tip. Like,
Yeah.
to start the class period with like a really positive greeting.
Yeah. That's
really
huge.
Yeah, it is.
Building those social,
hmm
relationships in
for
your
the kids
classroom
to
is,
feel safe.
yep, it's huge.
Okay, well, let's hear yours and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. So I think for me, especially getting to like go to the high school sometimes
Mhm.
and see some of our old kids, I think that's there's something so meaningful in that.
Yeah.
And just like we were talking about seeing your kids in public and just
Mhm.
having them tell you how much they miss you or how much they wish they could go back to your class for just one day
Yes.
is huge. So I think that feeling, and then the other big thing is when I won Teacher of the Year that year.
Yeah. Mhm.
My students, like, I felt like they were proud of me. Like it felt like I like, but they helped me get to where
Yeah.
to where I was.
You were there
Um,
because of them in a huge way.
Right. So obviously I was overtaken with emotion, but you could see
Mhm.
some of them were even like tearing up too. And that was just a moment I'll never experience again.
Yeah.
And I'll never experience again with those students.
Wow.
And then I've kind of talked about the binder of
Mhm.
everything. I do get emotional thinking about how we're such a small part of their journey.
Mhm.
Um,
That's so true.
like they grow up, they start their own lives, but for us, they're like our entire
In
world.
our entire world. That's so true.
Like I can think back to like, okay, 2019, third and fourth period.
Yeah.
My kids in that class.
Mhm. What they were doing, what they needed, how
Right.
they were.
I'm like, I wonder if they remember me. Like
Yeah.
some of them are like going to college now,
Yeah.
you know?
That is so true.
Um,
Like for them, we're a stepping stone. Like for us, like they're actually all we think about.
Right. So I guess like my favorite thing or like what brings me joy is truly being a part of their lives.
Yeah.
Like is the biggest thing.
That's such a good point.
And it's y'all, it really is crazy because educators really are like worry about your children. Like do they
100%.
have their uniforms? Did they eat breakfast? Did they sleep well last night?
Yeah.
So I think my favorite thing is truly just
Being
being a
person.
part of their life, like being a stepping stone in their journey.
Yeah.
It's
That's perfectly said.
that is my favorite thing.
Yeah, I know. And I still have teachers that I think about that have made me feel
Yes.
that way. So to be possibly that teacher for a kid is so important.
Yeah.
And like you said, it is so true. We think about them nonstop. Like
Nonstop.
yeah, like I will think about a situation that happened. I'm like, okay, tomorrow I need to talk to so and so because I want to make sure
Yes.
they're okay about this. Or like, I need to make sure he has a pencil because he told me
Yep.
he needs
Yeah.
a highlighter for this class. Like,
Oh, he still needs a binder.
Exactly.
Let me get that student a binder.
yeah,
And this is all on top of like, okay, I'm going to do 15 check for understanding questions to make sure they understand. I have a test to give on Friday.
right, exactly. I need to turn in my lesson plans.
Right.
Oh, did
have
I
my
eat
lesson
today? I
plans.
have like 10 minutes left of lunch. Like,
Right.
you just.
Oh, I have lunch duty in 5 minutes. Like
right. Exactly. There's so much.
there's so much.
So, okay, that leads me into mine, which is, okay, so I have this like letter from a student that I want to read, but yes, I have it on my
Oh,
iPad
okay,
now.
perfect.
So, I got this letter a couple, last May. So when the
Mhm.
kids graduated their 8th grade year last May.
Okay.
And I got it from a school that I used to teach at in
Mhm.
2020. So this was like before COVID happened. It was my very first year of teaching. So
Mhm.
2019, 2020 year,
Okay.
my first year teaching ever. And if you've ever been a first year teacher, or if you are a first year
Ugh.
teacher, you know that you were in the trenches that year.
Yeah.
is
you're
like-
adjusting.
You're
and
adjusting
learning.
and learning, and it's really hard. You feel like overwhelmed. You still feel all those great things, like all the amazing parts of it,
For sure.
but you're adjusting to the job, and it's like, it's a lot.
Mhm.
And I remember feeling that, like, oh, I'm not doing good enough. Like, the kids didn't learn this, they didn't learn that. You just want to be like perfect, and there's no way you can be your first year. You're learning every single day
Yep.
from everybody around you, and that's how I remember feeling my first year teaching. And then COVID happened in what, like March?
Yeah.
Whenever it happened.
March.
So I never did get to finish out the year with those kids that were in my first year. We did like the hybrid, like online stuff for a little
Yeah.
bit. And then that was it. And then I never went back to that school. I ended up going to a different school.
Right.
So I just never really like had closure with those kids.
Yeah.
And I just kind of had to move on. I thought about them, of course, but I kind of had to move on. And those were sixth graders. So then 2 years later, or how many years later? Can't do math. I'm an English teacher. However many years later, they graduated eighth grade. And someone, a coworker that I used to work with at that school, reached out to me and said that something that they do at that school when they graduate from eighth grade is write letters to teachers from the school of like how they made them feel, just like, or tell them goodbye or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, you have a bunch of letters from the sixth graders when you were here. And I was like, what? She's like, yes, I'm going to send them to you. So she sent me one.
Yeah.
And it was from the student that, of course, I remember. Oh, and I actually don't have it. So I'm going to look at it on your phone. I sent myself the wrong one. So she sent me this letter, and I was like, oh, my God. This kid, like, remembered me.
Yeah.
And so this is what she said. It's kind of long. I'll kind of cut it short. But she said,
read the letter.
okay, fine.
Read the letter.
She said, Dear Miss Lansue, it's been quite a while. I hope you still remember me. I want to thank you for making my sixth grade experience so much more memorable, even if it was cut short because of COVID. If you don't remember me, I hope the best for you because you were one of the nicest teachers I've ever had. You made social studies so fun and easy. The way you taught made me realize that I wasn't dumb. All I needed was for someone to believe in me and for someone to be patient with me. I will forever remember the way you trusted our class enough to share important events of your life with us, like your wedding and also your baby's milestones. I bet your baby is all grown now. Your baby is lucky to have such a great person for you as a mom. Your new students, if you're still teaching, are very lucky to have you, and I wish many blessings, like, got crying.
Yeah.
I wish many blessings for you. I wish the best for you because you were always so sweet and so warm-hearted to the kids around you. Your smile could light up our classroom. You were always positive about everything, even when there were rough days with our class. Thank you for making school feel like home away from home. I'm sorry if you left our school because the kids were bad. She said, I hope you still remember me, and she said this kid's name. And you know that we really did appreciate you and care about you. I remember the day you told us that we were some of the best students you had. That day we both felt like we accomplished something. I hope this letter will remind you that you have accomplished something great, that you left a positive impact on our lives, and I also hope reading this makes you happy and you remember the wonderful times we had in that class. For example, the time you let us do a play about Julius Caesar where we had red-colored paper for blood. Yup, that's still funny to me. Anyway, I just want to thank you for being a wonderful teacher and role model to so many kids. Sincerely, with love. And they said her name. I was shook.
That is
powerful.
That is powerful.
Because that was like 3 years later.
Yep.
And that was my first year teaching when I thought I was just like never going to make it. Like,
Yeah.
didn't know what was going on. And then I got that and I was like, oh my God.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. That's why I'm here.
It's so worth it.
Yeah, it really is.
Because at the heart of everything that educators do, it's for the students.
Yes. So teachers, we see you, we hear you, we know. It's a lot.
But it is a lot.
It's
and
so worth it.
students, you need to understand and realize
Yes.
how much your teachers care about you and love you. And like
put in every single day. I literally go home and think about them.
Yep.
Or tell Matt all about my day. I'm like, well, she said this and that. It's like we constantly think about them and care about them.
Constantly. So
it's a 24-hour job.
And if you ever thought about being a teacher, do it.
Yeah.
It really is so rewarding because I promise you the positives truly outweigh
any type of negatives. In it.
Negatives.
Yeah, it's so true.
It is.
Well, this was such a little boost.
It was. This was a boost.
I'm so glad we did it. We
Me
really
too.
wanted to put this out there. Any more teacher submissions, send them in.
Yes.
We'll do a part 2.
We'll do a part 2.
You know we will.
All right. This was so fun.
All right. Thank y'all so much for listening, and we'll talk to y'all very soon for Haunting of Adeline.
Yes.
Or Haunting Adeline.
Love ya.
Bye.
Bye.